What's up, guys? So I just took all of my camera gear out of all my bags because I get asked a lot to show what's inside of my bag. So I've taken it all out, I put it all on the floor for you so you can see all of it, and I'm going to tell you why I've chosen to buy everything that you see here, and then I'm going to pack it all up in my bags again and show you how I travel with it and give you some tips on how to travel safely with expensive camera gear. My wife is filming from her iPhone right now. She's doing a great job. But so that you can get some better audio, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this and then start using it right away. So this is my Sennheiser lav mics. These were about $600 and this just allows you to get clean audio. And so I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up right now to my camera so you can start hearing some cleaner audio for the rest of this video. Hook this up. I'm gonna go ahead and push record now. And now we have audio coming from the lav mic. So let's get started first with our cameras. Now, the first camera I ever bought was a T3i. So this is my starter camera. I no longer use this camera. I actually lend it out to other people to use to help them get started. After about 3 months of using that, I upgraded to the Mark III, the Canon 5D Mark III, which I used for a couple years. So I still use this camera, but I mostly use it for photography because it's an awesome photography camera. But as far as shooting video, I don't really use this one anymore. The one I use now is my Canon 1DC, which allows me to shoot 4K, and I got this about 3 or 4 months ago. And this is my main camera that I use right now. Now, when I'm shooting bigger projects like commercials and things that are higher budget, I'll rent out cameras like Red Dragons so that I can shoot in 6K and higher frame rates. So this is my go-to camera for when I do weddings or just local work, but when I do bigger projects, I rent out nicer cameras. So that's my main camera that I use right now. This camera right here is the Sony FS700R, which I've honestly only used a few times. And the main reason I got this camera was to be able to shoot super slow motion. This shoots up to 250 frames per second at 1080p. And so I use it for a commercial I shot with bodyguards and for a tomato fight so I could get some super slow-mo shots. But other than that, I haven't used it that much and I'll probably sell it soon because I'm looking to upgrade to a Red camera pretty soon. So I'll end up selling a few of these things to save up and allow me to buy a nicer camera. Let's move on to lenses now. So first I'm gonna start with my Canon 16-35, which is my most used lens. I love using this lens for landscapes and for high action sports, being close up in the action. So this lens is my go-to. This is the most popular one that I use on a lot of Devon Supertramp shoots. So I'd highly recommend getting a wide angle lens like this 16-35. The second lens I bought was a 70-200 millimeter, which is a zoom lens, which allows you to get a lot tighter shot. So if you're farther away from things, you can still zoom in and get nice and close. This lens I don't use as much, but I do love using this lens for portraits, for people's faces. And like I said, when I'm far away from my subject, this really comes in handy. The next lens I got was the 24-70. This is a standard lens. It's in between the zoom and the wide angle. And this is kind of your all-around lens. I like using this for weddings because I can go pretty wide and still get pretty tight. Whereas if I'm using a zoom lens or a wide angle lens, I'm not able to get in that middle ground that I like to be in when documenting and showing stuff like weddings. So that's why I got this lens, just kind of an all-purpose, allows me to have a wide variety of focal lengths. The next lens that I bought was the Sigma 50mm 1.4 aperture. I got this guy because he can go a lot lower on the aperture, which means it can shoot better in low light. So I love using this indoors. This one is a fixed lens, which means it doesn't zoom in or out. It's stuck at 50mm. And ideally, I want to buy quite a few more of these prime lenses so that I can have a wide variety of focal lengths that allow me to stop down to a much lower aperture. But for now, this is the lens I have if I want to shoot low lights. The next lens I bought is a Rokinon 14mm. It's not the nicest lens and it's a manual lens, but if I want to get even wider than 16mm, especially if I'm shooting on a crop sensor frame, I'm going to want a wider angle lens to still give me that wide perspective. And one of my first lenses I ever got was the 50mm from Canon. It's about $350. It's not nearly as nice as the Sigma 50mm lens, but it does go down to 1.4 aperture. So it's still a great lens for low light. Highly recommend it. If you can afford it, I'd get something nicer, but until then, this is a great lens to have. Next thing I want to talk about are these filters. This is a polarizer and this is an ND filter. This allows me to let in less light, and this allows me to get rid of the reflections of the sunlight and enhance the blues in my skies. I love using a polarizer when I'm outdoors, and I love using an ND filter when I'm shooting time lapses, and I use these on a daily, so I always bring those with me. Let's move on now to the rigs and stabilizers I use. The first thing I bought before anything, which changed my life and makes me who I am today, is my trusty GlideCam. This is the GlideCam HD 2000, and you see here on top I have a Manfrotto release plate that I bought with the GlideCam that allows me to go quickly from GlideCam to tripod. These run about $500 to $600, and it's so worth the money. This is the most amazing purchase I made. I wouldn't be able to shoot a lot of the things I do in the style that I do without this amazing tool. So for me, the GlideCam is a must. So much so that I have a second GlideCam. This is the Devin Graham series GlideCam, which has an adjustable gimbal that can go up and down, and a built-in Manfrotto quick release plate, which is super nice so you don't have to buy that extension. People ask me what's better, the GlideCam Devin Graham series or the HD 2000, and honestly they're about the same. I like the quick release better on here, but I like the gimbal a little bit better on the HD 2000. So that's why I have two of them, also so I can have a backup and a second cameraman on GlideCam. Once I had a GlideCam, it was time for me to get a tripod. This is an obvious must when shooting video, especially when you're shooting on a long lens like my 70 to 200. This guy is the Manfrotto 055X Pro B with a 502 fluid head. Next, I bought a slider. This guy is called the Cinovate slider. It's about 3 feet long. I got it for about $400 used. And then again, I have a 502 fluid head on top here, allowing me to move independently of the slider. I honestly don't use this very much because it's kind of clunky to carry around, and I can get most shots on the GlideCam that I can get on this. So I don't use this very often unless I'm trying to get very precise shots, but I have it in case I need it. And the next item for stabilizing is the Cowboy Studio shoulder rig. You pop it on your shoulder like that, and it's just a lot more steady than using your hands alone. And this is more for a handheld feel. Super cheap, but super nice to have. And I've been asked quite a bit why I don't have a 3-axis gimbal yet, and it's because I've been trying them out. I tried out the Ronin, the Movi, the Defy, and a couple other different brands, and I've been trying to figure out which one's the best, and I've concluded that the Movi is the best 3-axis gimbal. So I will be buying that soon and adding it to my arsenal. Moving on now to the audio equipment that I own. The first thing I bought for audio was these Rode mics. These are the Video Mic Pros you can get for about $250. And you just pop this on top of the camera and it allows you to get a lot cleaner directional audio and just enhances the overall quality of the audio you're going to capture instead of coming straight out of camera. For most of Devin Graham's shoots, that's all he uses is Rode mics. I'm a little bit more of an audio snob, and so I invested in a few of my own audio microphones. This one right here I got is called a Sterling microphone. It's a condenser mic, which is good for being nice and close and doing studio audio. So you do voiceovers with these kind of mics. Those are the kind of mics they use to record vocals for music. And the next piece of audio equipment I have is the Zoom H6. Now, I can record audio directly out of this mic, but I mostly use this to connect via XLR cables, which you'll see over here. So I hook this in like that to my Zoom H6, and then I hook it up to my boom mic. And this is what you see in the Hollywood movies, which allows you to be off camera and get nice, clean audio of your people talking. And the microphone I have in here is my Rode NT-G3, which runs about $700, plus the boom mic and the H6, it comes out to about $1,300. So this is a more expensive setup, but when you're doing professional shoots, you need to have professional audio, and this will do the job for you. This fuzzy thing here is a dead cat. That just keeps the wind from picking up in the microphone when you're shooting outdoors. Now right here I got my lighting kit. This is a 3-point lighting kit. You'll see on the back here it has controllable power from 0 to 100%, and then from 32 to 5600 Kelvin, allowing you to adjust your color balance. I'll put it on here for you so you can see it in action. And then you light up your subject like so. Now this 3-point lighting kit that I got is called the Icon LED 3-point lighting kit, which I got off of B&H for about $1,200. It's a little bit pricey, but they're super nice. Like I said, you can adjust the brightness and adjust the color balance, and they run off of battery power. I love using them for interviews and lighting up small scenes. And then right here is a reflector. I don't use this a ton, but it's nice to have if you want to reflect a little bit of light. If you don't have any artificial lights on set, this guy just pops open like that. It reflects the light of the sun onto your subject and just helps give you some more even lighting. So I like bringing this with me when I need some makeshift artificial lighting added to my scene. And lastly, let's take a look at my GoPro here. We have the GoPro Hero 4. Obviously, I use this for a lot of action stuff where I can't stick my expensive cameras, like jumping off of cliffs and stuff. And I use my trusty GoScope as a selfie stick to allow me to jump off of cliffs and buildings and all kinds of stuff. So that is the GoScope with the GoPro. And I recently bought a 3-axis gimbal. It allows you to get steady shots with the GoPro. I haven't used it that much. I use more often the GoScope, which you can get for about 50 bucks. So I definitely recommend getting a GoScope. And then over here, I got some extra Manfrotto plates to attach on the bottom of my camera that then allows me to slide into my tripod, into my glide cam. And this here is a intervalometer, which allows me to do time lapses with my camera. This guy right here is a little card holder. Inside you can put CF cards and SD cards and mini SD cards. This is a nice little case to keep all my cards in. And right here I just have some cleaning supplies. It's always important to keep some cleaning supplies so you can dust off your lenses and your sensors in case any crap gets on them. So I always keep that with me as well. And then over here you see my batteries for my cameras and my laptop, which I always bring with me when I'm traveling. So now that you've seen everything that I own as far as camera gear, what I use on a daily basis, I'm now gonna pack all of it up into my bags, and I'll give you some tips on traveling to make sure everything stays safe. So I got here my Samsonite suitcase, and I recommend getting a super light one because camera gear is heavy. So I found the lightest one I could that's still pretty sturdy, that will allow me to put as much weight inside as I can, because you can only take 50 pounds or 23 kilos with you as a check-in bag. Now, like I said, I don't use this very often, and I especially don't travel with it. So I'm not going to pack that because I never do. First, let's pack up my tripod, take off the head from the legs, place them in like so. Then I'll usually just bring one glide cam. We'll go ahead and leave this one. And same thing, I'll just unscrew the head to make for some more room inside. Then I got my cowboy shoulder rig that I'll pop in here, and I'll stuff clothes and softer items in there to keep things from clinking. And if my shoot requires audio, I'll be sure to grab my boom mic, my NTG3. So I'll distribute it kind of evenly. I'll put some clothes in there, pop this guy on that side. Over here we got my Zoom H6, which has its own little case as well. And then I'll pack my reflector in there. This guy is a studio mic. It's for inside and at home, so I don't bring that with me. Here I pack up my GoPro. I have my own little hard case with batteries and chargers and accessories. And under here I have chest mounts and head mounts and other accessories for the GoPro. And now I'm going to take down my lighting kits. This Icon LED 3-kit light setup has its own bag it comes with, which I really like. And I like to put my slow motion camera in here because it fits really nice in this slot right there. And then the stands for the lights go in here. And now let's load up my main bag, which is my Ape case. This guy runs at about 150 bucks. I researched a lot of backpacks, and this is the one I like the best. And the reason why is because it has super deep pockets, so you can have taller cameras. There's a lot of space. It's super secure, very rugged, has a lot of pockets, and it has a laptop pocket, and I need to travel with my laptop, so I really love that about it too. And this guy has wheels, and this ends up being about 40 pounds or about 20 kilos. And I traveled with a bag for a couple of years that didn't have wheels, and my back always killed when I traveled. So the trick is to get a bag that can fit in the overhead compartments, but that also has wheels. And this, I think, is the perfect bag for it. So here I'm gonna show you me packing this thing up. Here's my card holder. Let's load up my filters here. Okay, now the tricky part is getting as much camera gear as we can into this one bag. And you'll notice I've saved the most fragile things to come with me carrying on the plane. That's because those check-in bags kind of get thrashed around, and so you don't want to put anything too fragile in those. You want to carry that on with you at all times. So especially lenses, you want to make sure you're carrying those with you at all times. Now this one I don't use anymore. And this camera, like I said, I don't use anymore. I do use this one for photography still and behind the scenes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop a lens on here, and I'll put one of my cameras in that slot there. And then I'll pop a second lens on my other camera and I'll stick that right in there. Now I won't travel with that audio rolling and recording like it is now, but you get the idea. And then I'll be sure to put my 70-200 in his little case here. And he goes nicely right over here on the side. Then I'll put my 50 mil in his little case here and slide him right in there. And if I feel so inclined, I'll bring my 14 millimeter. And I usually only bring one Rode mic with me, and I'll just pop it right on there like that. I can actually fit both in there if I want. Those guys will be safe there. And this is important. I always travel with a 2 terabyte hard drive and a backup, so I always have 2 copies of all the footage I shoot at all times. Make sure you unplug these when you're traveling, because it'll yank on those insides and it can break these things. Put them somewhere safe where they won't get battered around. Now for my cleaning gear, put it in these pockets right there. When I shut this guy's gonna close better than it is now because he's on there. But assume that's closing nicely. I'll pack my laptop in the sleeve. Make sure I have my charger for my laptop. Batteries for my Mark III. I'll put on one side, along with my extra Manfrotto plates. And then batteries for my 1DC, I'll stick in here with my laptop charger. And then my intervalometer isn't very fragile, so I can either stick it in the bag or throw it in there. And then I got my Lexar card reader that does CF and SD cards. I'll stick in the side pocket here. Got to make sure you bring that so you can always dump your footage. And then my trusty Bose noise canceling headphones that I use to edit on the road. So I'll slap those on, zip up my backpack. And there you go. I have successfully packed up everything I own so I can go anywhere in the world. You'll notice that I put one of my bags on top of my suitcase, and I have a 4-wheeler here so that I can just scoot this on along nice and easy, which is super convenient. So I recommend getting a 4-wheeler. Those are really nice. And like I said, it's nice having the 2-wheeler on the backpack so you can stroll him and him at the same time. Now, you're probably a little bit overwhelmed at how much gear I have and how expensive it is. It took me 4 years to get to where I'm at now. And like I said, over the next 4 years, I hope to completely evolve and upgrade all of that equipment. But that having been said, it doesn't matter what kind of camera you have. What's important is the person that's behind the camera. You need to learn how to use it well, how to be creative and cinematic with it, how to edit well, and how to run your business correctly, which is why I've made this course. So despite what camera gear you have, I've seen people shoot crappy videos with Red Dragons, and I've seen people shoot amazing videos with iPhones. So do the best with the equipment you have. Don't worry about that. Worry more about how to use it well. So stay tuned to figure out how to use this equipment to its potential. So that's it for what's in my bag. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know.